Harp friends, it's Elizabeth. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you about identifying key signatures. Remember, the key signature tells us what scale the piece uses and how to set our pedals or our levers for that scale. The major scale is made from the sequence whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. We can see these steps easily on a piano because we can see exactly which notes have a sharp or a black key on the piano between them and which do not. For example, right now I'm set for the key of C major. I have no sharps or flats. I can play a scale beginning on C. We have whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step. The home bass note of a scale is called the tonic. Notes can be raised or lowered half a step to create the correct sequence for a major scale, starting on any note, even on a sharp or a flat. The key signature sets the major scale and tells you the tonic. For example, if I have no sharps or flats, I'm in the key of C major. C is my tonic. But the key signature also sets the relative minor scale. A minor scale is made from the sequence whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. We can see this on a piano. If we start on the note A, we have a whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, and a whole step to get back to A. We can also see it on the harp if I play a scale from A. It sounds less stable than our major. It's definitely for playing sad music. The minor scale is always 3 half steps lower than the major scale. And usually on the harp, that means it's going to be 2 strings. So if I'm in the key of C major, the minor will be A minor. If I have sharped my F and I'm in the key of G major, the minor, going down 2, is E minor. We can have our G major scale, and then if we go down 2, we have our relative minor scale of E minor. In music, we use the circle of fifths to understand key signatures. It's a really helpful visual so that you can see what the pattern is and also so that you can easily look things up if you're not sure. At the top, we have C, which has 0 sharps and 0 flats. If we move around the circle of fifths to the right, you'll notice that 1 sharp gives us the key of G, 2 sharps is the key of D, and so on. We can go all the way up till we have 7 sharps, which is the key of C sharp major. But we can also go around the circle of fifths the other direction, going back up to the top. If we go to the left one, counterclockwise, we have the key of F, which has 1 flat, which we've talked about. If you keep going and you have 2 flats, then you are in the key of B flat major. 3 flats would be E flat major. And this one we've actually talked about because we have our harps tuned to the key of E flat major, so that if I put down all of my levers, I'll be playing in the key of E flat major because I'll have 3 flats in my key signature, which is the key of E flat. If you play a pedal harp, you can go even farther. You could have 4 flats, 5 flats, 6, or even all 7 flats, which would be the key of C flat major. Now, most lever harps are going to be tuned to 3 flats, and this will maximize the number of keys that you can play in. Here's what we can play. We can play with no sharps, no flats, which is what I have right now, which is C major or A minor. If I put 1 sharp, which would be my F sharp, then I'm in the key of G major or E minor. If I do an additional sharp, which would be my C sharp, now I'm in the key of D major or B minor. If I do another sharp, which would be G sharp, then I'm going to be playing in the key of A major or F minor. I can do one more sharp, which is my B sharp, and now I'm going to be playing in the key of E major or C sharp minor. You'll notice at this point, I have sharped all of my levers for the octaves that I was working with. I didn't necessarily do the top and the bottom, just for time's sake, but all of my levers are up. I cannot play on any more sharp keys unless I retune one of my notes so that I can get a sharp where I would otherwise have a flat. Now, if I reset back to kind of my natural, my home base, where I just have my 3 up, which is going to be the E, the B, and the A. Now I'm back to C. And now I'm going to show you what we can do with our flats. If I do one flat, it will be B flat. So I'll put my B's down, and that will be playing in the key of F, or the key of D minor. If I put down another flat, which will be E flat, then I will be playing in the key of B flat major or G minor. If I put down my last flat, which is going to be the A flat, now I will be playing in the key of E flat major or C minor. And that's as far as I can go with flats because I have nothing else to put down. If I wanted to get 4 flats, I would have to retune one of my notes to be able to go down to flat. Now pedals can toggle between all 3 positions of flat, natural, and sharp with each of their 7 pedals, each one for 1 note of a scale. That means you can play up to 7 sharps, which is the key of C sharp or A sharp minor, or up to 7 flats, which is the key of C flat or A flat minor. Now I know that was a lot of information, but there's one more little trick that I want to teach you, and that is about how to identify what key you're in just by looking at the key signature in terms of what sharps or flats are in the key signature. Of course we know that if there's no sharps or flats, that you're in either C major or A minor. But if you have sharps, here's the trick for knowing what the key is. First of all, the sharps always go in the same order. You always start by sharping F, then C, then G, then D, then A, then E, then B. It's always that order. Do you notice? It's back and forth and you're going up 1 each time. That's always going to be the pattern with the sharps. The flats also have a pattern. We start with B, then E, then A, then D, then G, then C, then F. They're actually exact opposites of each other. Notice how F was the last thing that you would flat, but it's the first thing that you sharp. If you look at the piano, you'll notice that B, if you sharp it, it just goes to C. There's no black key after it. So it makes sense that that would be the first one that you would go flat, and the very last one you would choose to sharp. Same thing with F. If I try to make it go flat, it just becomes the E because there's no black key there. So it makes sense that that's the first key I would sharp and the very last one that I would make go flat. And don't worry, because if you can't remember the order that things go sharp or flat, it's okay, because you can always look at the staff. The sharps will be on the lines or spaces for the notes that they want to be sharp, and the flats will be on the lines or spaces for the notes that they want to go flat. Additionally, there's a trick that you can learn that will help you identify the key signature. For sharps, you look at the very last note that is sharped, and then go up 1, and that's the key you're in. So, if I have 1 sharp, which is F, I would go up 1 note to the G, and I am in the key of G major. If I have sharped 2 notes, the second note to be sharped would be the C. That would be the last sharp, the one to the furthest right on the music. So if I go to C and I go up one note, it's D. I'm in the key of D major. If I have three sharps, my last one is a G, I just go up one note to A, and I'm in the key of A major. So you can always figure out what key you're in if you're in a sharp key by looking at the last sharp and going up one note. So what about flats? Well, flats are a little bit different. For flats, you're going to look at the second to last flat, and that is the key you're in. For example, if I put down three flats, the last one I put down is the A, the second to last one I put down is the E. I'm in the key of E flat. If I only have two flats in my key signature, the second to last one is the B. In fact, it's a B flat, so I'm in the key of B flat major. Let's say that I was on a pedal harp and I had a key signature with 5 flats, which is a lot of flats. The second to last flat would be a D flat, so I'd be in the key of D flat major. Now, where this can break down is, what if you only have one flat? There's no second to last flat if there's only one. Well, in that case, you may just have to remember one flat is the key of F. You could also think about it as, remember the very last note that we would be likely to flat would be F. So just like how music is circular, you know, after you go notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it starts back over at 1, just an octave up. So if I'm flatting B, E, A, D, G, C, F is my last one, and then I would go to B again if I was continuing it. So in that case, F would be the second to last flat. It's a little bit complicated, so it might be easier to just remember that when you have one flat, you're in the key of F. Remember, if you're not sure, you can always try it. So let's say that I have one flat, so I'm going to put my B's down here, but I still have my E's and my A's up, and maybe I'm just not sure what key I'm in. I can't remember the little rule for that one, so just start playing somewhere and listen. I can hear it. It didn't sound right when I went C to C, but I kept going, and when I heard that, it sounded like I'd come to a resolution. It sounded like it was wrapped up. I knew I was done when I hit F. That means I'm in the key of F major. So if you're really, really stuck and you just have no idea, just start playing a scale and use your ear. Listen for when it sounds like it's finished. There's your tonic or your home bass note. So let's recap. In this lesson, we went over a lot about how to identify key signatures. When you're playing a lever harp that's tuned to 3 flats, you can play in keys up to 3 flats or up to 4 sharps. If you're playing pedal harp, you can play in all the keys, which is up to 7 flats or up to 7 sharps. The way that you identify them is through how many sharps or how many flats are on the staff. And those sharps or flats will always be on the line or space to represent that note. So for example, if you see a sharp sign on the space that you know is C, you know that your C is supposed to be sharped. We use something called the circle of fifths to represent it and to understand the relationship between these sharps and flats and the major keys that they represent. You can also use it to help yourself figure out what key you're in. There's a couple tricks to figuring them out. Remember, the sequence is always the same. So for sharps, it's always F, C, G, D, A, E, B. For flats, it's reversed. The first one you would flat would be B, then E, then A, then D, then G, then C, and F would be the last one that you would flat. Additionally, you can figure out what key you're in by looking at that key signature. If it is no sharps and no flats, you're either in C major or the relative minor of A minor. Remember, the minor is 2 notes below the major. And you can figure out, is it major or minor, based on looking at your first note, your last note, the beginning and end of phrases in the song, and that will probably tell you if you're in a major, like a happy key, or a minor, which is more of a sad key. If you are playing in sharps, then you're always going to look at the last sharp on the key signature, the one to the farthest right, and then go up one note. That's the key that you're in. For example, if the last note that is sharped is D, go up one note, you are playing in the key of E major, or possibly in the key of C minor. For flats, it's a little different. You want to look at the second to last flat, and that's the key you're in. If I have B flat and E flat in my key signature, I look at the second to last one, which is the B flat, and I am in B flat major. However, the one exception to that is the key of F. If you only have one flat, you are in the key of F. Don't worry about it if you haven't memorized all this. This is really just an introduction to understanding key signatures. We're going to talk about each key signature as we encounter it in the songs and exercises to come in the curriculum. And you can always ask your harp teacher to give you more explanation and help you practice it in your live Zoom lessons if you want a little bit more practice. So let's go practice.